Hi, my name is Alina. I am a Christian. I was introduced to this channel through a very important person. My question is, what are your views on the early Christians and today's Christians? Do you think they are the same?
No, obviously, I don't think that they are the same. And the reason why I don't think that they are the same is because the first 300 plus years of Christianity, it was not united. There was no centralized church, so to speak. The Christians were being persecuted and oppressed all over the lands. The disciples had spread across the continents and to the different countries in order to establish little communities and to spread the teachings of Jesus Christ. The various communities of early Christianity, they each had their own gospels and their own sources of teachings, their own writings in which they attributed to the apostles, or their own narratives, their own historical narratives of the life of Jesus Christ. And they all differed from one another. And each and every community had its own interpretation. There were those groups that considered that Jesus was God. There were other groups that considered that Jesus was a mere prophet. There were some groups that considered that adherence to the Jewish law was a necessity for salvation. There were other groups that felt like the old Jewish law was now obsolete and it was replaced by the new covenant that Jesus Christ brought along with its new laws and regulations. And there were yet other groups that considered that the God of the Old Testament altogether was an evil God, that he was Satan, and that everything that happened before the coming of Jesus Christ was evil. Some Christian groups, they came with weird practices, the things that today modern day Christians would consider to be abominations. So what happened is that after the Roman Empire under Constantine chose to adopt Christianity as the national religion for the Roman Empire, they held a council, and in that council, they gathered the representatives from the various Christian communities all over the land in order that they may come to a consensus and unify one version of Christianity. And of course, the council was led by fallible people, and it was also led by the very empire that was persecuting the Christians over the course of 300 plus years. And the empire itself had its own special interests in mind. And so they basically decided that they were going to debate it out and vote and decide for themselves what was acceptable to be placed in the Bible and what was not acceptable. And they had a lot of texts and manuscripts which they voted out. They decided that they were not going to adhere to or believe in or add to the current version of the Bible. And they eliminated those gospels and those manuscripts, and they basically persecuted and killed and condemned and imprisoned a lot of the opposing Christian priests that did not agree with their version of Christianity. And so we believe that there was not one type of Christianity that existed before, so that the questioner may ask, do I believe that the old Christianity is the same as today? And I believe also that today, after the so-called Holy Roman Empire came into effect, I think that there was a lot of corruption and sex breaking off that occurred for over the last 1700 years that caused there to be many different churches with their own opinions and interpretations of verses. So you have the Methodists, you have the Baptists, you got the Southern Baptists, you got the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. You have an endless amount of churches that have broken off with their own interpretations and their own translations of the Bible. And so, yeah, I believe that the original version of Christianity that was practiced by Jesus, right? If we're talking about that, the original religion of God, I believe that that original religion was practiced by a few. And I believe that in this very day, it's practiced by a few. And we believe that those individuals that are truly practicing the religion of Jesus Christ are the followers of this religion and this covenant and adherence to the path of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, the Imams and the Mahdis. Those are the true Christians that have survived over the ages and that are trying to restore Christianity and resurrect the original teachings of Christ to its pure form.